You share this really sweet story about a time you were feeling lonely after getting married, which most people would think, well, you're married, you shouldn't be lonely, you have everything you need.
Yeah.
Another misconception.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if we could talk about what you did to solve that
Yeah.
problem, if you would mind
Yeah.
sharing that story.
I love talking about this because this is hard to talk about too.
Yeah.
And I don't think we do talk about this enough. And one aspect of this that speaks to hypersensitivity in particular too is we can feel really lonely when we're in the company of other people. We
Yeah.
can feel really lonely at an office work party. We can feel really lonely when we're married and when we're happily
Mm-hmm.
married, which is the case for me.
Yeah.
And we can feel lonely in different other social settings too. So, and then as you said as well, I think we need different relationships in our lives. And
Mm-hmm.
I quote her in the book, but Marissa G. Franco does a lot of work around
Yes.
this. She's so fantastic around
Yes.
friendships and the different layers and different types of friendships too. That really, really spoke to me. How,
Yes.
and for those listening, she talks about, intimacy, like a real deep intimate, either with a partner or a best friend. And
Mm-hmm.
then more of a community, and then more relational relationships, and just it to me, I envision sort of a quilt, like there's all these different
Mm-hmm.
threads making the quilt of who we are and what we need in our lives. But yeah, it was fascinating because what happened after my husband and I got married, we were living in San Francisco at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and we decided we wanted a life change. Absolutely love San Francisco so much. And we had and do still have some incredible friends there. But we were feeling we wanted a little bit more space. We wanted to change, and we
Mm-hmm.
wanted to take an adventure with each other too. And so it actually aligned where I work remote. I work for myself as a journalist, but he actually got a job at a company based up here in the Pacific Northwest where we are now. And we thought, let's take the leap. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And I got up here, and we were again living in right in the city in San Francisco in the Mission. And that was becoming also hard for me
Um,
too. There was a lot of the noise, and I didn't have
mm-hmm.
immediate access to some greenery that I was realizing was really important for me as a sensitive person.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved up here, and we do have physically more space. We have a little more access to nature, but I didn't know anybody.
Right.
And so it was wild. I found myself the first few months crying a lot, and I couldn't figure out why.
Yeah.
I was also at the time, I was deep in editing my book. So the work I
Mm-hmm.
was doing was very, very, very
Mm-hmm.
solitary. And April, I was like, what is going on? And that's when I
Right.
realized I'm lonely. And I was
Yes.
lonely for friends. I missed my deep, intimate friendships, and a lot of them are in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
But I also miss those relational, friends and that community that, again, Marissa G. Franco talks about, which is just seeing people at the store, passing by
Right.
your neighbors, that kind of feeling that you're involved. I didn't have that yet here.
Yeah.
And it was tough. It was
Mm-hmm.
tough. And then it was also pretty cool, I have to say, though, because I thought, okay, I need it. This is something I can change. I know
Yeah,
if I'm feeling this way, other people are. And sadly, we know loneliness is a epidemic these
it
days.
is. Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I thought, okay, I gotta do this. I just want to at least know some people in my area, and then I can work on building these relationships. But I just want to
Mm-hmm.
know my community. And so I I decided, like, well, I thought, how does one meet people?
Right.
How do you do? And there's a lot of different ways, but in this situation, I thought, I'm going to open up my house and have a women's tea. I'm just going to take a big risk, put myself out there. I do want to say I'm in a situation where it felt very safe to do that. I think in certain
Mm-hmm.
situations it might not feel safe to
Sure.
invite strangers into your home, and
Mm-hmm.
it could look differently. But I did. I wrote little note cards. I put them in people's mailboxes in the neighborhood, and I said, I'm having a women's tea. If you want to come by for 5 minutes or 2 hours, come by in this day, have a cup of
Mm.
tea, and let's just be together. And people showed up,
You
over a
said 12
dozen.
people.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
they showed
so
up.
astounded. I was like, that's amazing.
I know, I know. And so it was vulnerable. It was goofy. I felt like I was in Girl Scouts again. I was at night huffing and puffing, walking and putting, these little note cards in mailboxes. But people showed up, and it was
They showed up.
wonderful. And so it just showed,
Mhm.
again, we all want to be with each other, and it looks different for each of us, but we want community.
We do. I
Yeah.
mean, yes, the world has shifted and some places are safer than others, but there are a lot of places that community is right there within our
Yeah.
fingertips. And it's
Yeah.
just a matter of taking that step to putting a note in a mailbox.
Yeah.
Ah,
And knowing too that there again is nothing wrong with you if you don't have that community.
that's it.
That's the other aspect of it too, because for so, so long,
Yeah.
I would think of the different scenarios in movies. We can picture them, the 4 or 5 women that get together at the perfect little bistro and
Yeah.
it's just baked in. Or if you're going for a walk by yourself and you look in the window and you see friends gathering and you think, wow, they have it.
Yeah.
What's wrong with me? I felt that so
Hmm.
many times. And so to know
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with you, like,
That's
again,
right.
life is tough. And sometimes it
Hmm.
just does take that little bit of risk to reach out and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'll say on that too is I love Francis Weller he's
Oh,
a psychotherapist and
love
an
him.
author. I knew you would, Leah. He's just
Oh,
does a lot of
yes.
work on grief.
Yes.
And I had the beautiful honor of interviewing him. And he said, if you're lonely too and you don't have that immediate community, go outside and hug a tree or talk to a tree. Go
Yes.
outside and be with the birds. And I
Hmm.
loved that.
Love that. There's other ways to connect, to
Yeah.
feel comfort, safety.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that because I see this a lot with my clients that when there's a lack of friendships or loneliness, especially in later stages, 40s and beyond, there's a lot of shame around it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I've done something wrong or I'm not worthy of friendship. And a lot of times it's circumstance. You've
Yeah.
moved, you changed jobs, maybe you had a child and you got disconnected from your
Yeah.
circle. There's a lot of reasons we find ourselves without connection.
Yeah.
And there's always an opportunity to make new friends. My grandmother is in her mid 80s and she still makes new friends,
I love those stories.
which
I
I
love that.
love. It gives me
Yeah.
so much hope. Like, oh, it's okay. Any time of life, you can make a new connection.
And I love that you mentioned that too, because you can make a new connection anytime in life. And I think you can go back to or
Yes.
anew, come back together with somebody you haven't seen in a while.
Yep.
Because there have been those instances where, again, somebody might move, somebody might
Mm-hmm.
have a child, and your frequencies in your schedules are just off.
Right.
Somebody might be struggling in a relationship. And that's been the case for me in the past, where I shut a lot of people off
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't even realize myself how much I was struggling. And then you come back. There's seasons to
That's it.
relationships. And that gives me a lot of hope knowing that now.
That's absolutely true. Having just finished editing my own book, it was about a 3-year process.
Yeah.
And there was also some life circumstances happening at the time. And I lost a lot of connections there. I didn't nurture them in the way that I normally would. And just in the past few months, I've started reconnecting
Mhm.
and putting intention into those friendships again. And they have started to come back to life.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
always possible. Yeah.
It
It's a
is.
good
Because I
reminder.
think our capacities for just understanding it, just understanding the life, all of it. We
Exactly.
need to realize our capacity for that in ourselves and other people is so much bigger and stretchier than we
Hmm.
realize.
It's so
Yeah.
true. I think there's a lot of finality that we put on relationships now, whether it's romantic or friendship,
Yeah.
platonic. And it's like, oh, relationships are malleable
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're very resilient.
Yeah.
And we can always pick up on those threads we've set down. I love that quilt
Yeah.
metaphor. It is a quilt.
It
We're always
is.
connected.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I love
I'm
it.
really curious. I don't know if you touch on this in the book, but what happened after that initial tea party?
We have a amazing group text
I love
chain.
that.
It's so great.
I love that.
It's been and it's so cool too because I remember I do think I included this in the book. There was a scene before when I started to realize I was really lonely and
Mm-hmm.
before I reached out and put all those notes in people's mailboxes. I remember seeing these women walk by
Yeah, you
our
did
house.
say
Yes, I
that.
did.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember I just wanted to throw myself in front of them and say, I swear, I'm cool. Let's be friends.
Right.
And now it's so cool that those women walked by and they came
And now
over,
you know
and I
them.
wave and now I know
Yeah.
them. But it's lovely because we're on a text chain. I'm
Mm-hmm.
definitely feeling very close to a few of the women. Other women,
Mm-hmm.
they're all incredible humans. They're
Yeah.
all incredible humans. Some of us are on different frequencies for
Mm-hmm.
different reasons, but there is this kind of invisible thread. It's just nice. It's like there's a safety to it too, that we
Yeah.
all know each other. We're close by. We
Hmm.
have this community. It's been really, really fun.
Oh, I love that. It's very hopeful and inspiring, like that if you see something happening, you can be part of it. You can
Yeah.
take an action. We can rewrite the story.
Yeah.
I love that. It just brought me a lot of joy to read that story.
Oh, I'm so glad. That's so glad.